capacity to do harm can spin into the stratosphere. Whenever believers get advice on how to run our movement, I'm sure, I'm a blogger, and I get a lot of people sending me advice saying, here's how I think you should run your movement. I have just a few words for you, and I'm sure you've all gotten this before. And it's really difficult to observe the observation that this advice is almost always in the direction of telling us to tone it down, to be a little less confrontational, to be a little less visible. I have almost never seen a believer advise the atheist movement to speak up more loudly and more passionately, to get in people's faces more about stuff they don't want to think about, to not be afraid of offending people if we think we're right. I have received a great deal of advice from believers on how atheists should run our movement. And it is almost always in the direction of politely suggesting that we shut up. Maybe I'm being cynical here. I don't think that's a coincidence. Again, when you look at the history of social change movements, you see the same pattern again and again. It was true of the women's movement, the labor movement, the civil rights movement, the queer movement. As soon as a movement starts to get some real traction, as soon as they start to get real visibility and real power, opponents start fear-mongering about, oh, that angry movement, those angry blacks, those angry women, those angry commies in the labor movement, those angry queers. They're going to turn into an uncontrolled, raging mob and tear up your city. They're going to get out the pitchforks and torches. David, we have the pitchforks and torches, right? Or else opponents start concern trolling about, oh, anger just alienates people. The movement needs to be more sweet and more diplomatic. This has consistently happened with every social change movement that I'm familiar with. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we are being advised to lay down our anger, one of the most powerful tools for social change known to humanity, right at the moment that we are beginning to get some real power. I'm running out of time here, and I really want to nail in this point, so I want to leave you with a couple of quotes. Here's the first one. The supreme task is to organize and unite people so that their anger becomes a transforming force. And here's the second. I have learned through bitter experience the one supreme lesson, to conserve my anger. And as heat conserved is transmitted into energy, even so, our anger controlled can be transmitted into a power that can move the world. These aren't from Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens or P.Z. Myers or any of the other famously angry atheists. They're not from Malcolm X, they're not from Betty Friedan, they're not from Abbie Hoffman. The first one is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the second is from Mahatma Gandhi. Leaders who today are held up as icons of peaceful, non-confrontational, love thy neighbor activism. Leaders who, at the time they were leading, were seen as dangerous, radical threats to the stability of society, and who now are used as paragons of sweetness and good manners, and are shoved in the face of activists, atheists and otherwise, who are seen as being too confrontational, too intemperate, and too angry. So the next time someone asks you, why are you atheists so angry? Remember that. Don't just remember Galileo. Don't just remember honor killings. Don't just remember the gay kids who are taught that they're going to burn in hell. Don't just remember people cheated and stolen from by religious frauds. Don't just remember the kids who were raped by priests in the Catholic Church that covered it up. Remember the words of King and Gandhi. Remember that anger can become a transforming force. Remember that anger controlled can be transmitted into a power that can move the world. And remember that people who are trivializing our anger, however concerned, however well-meaning, are essentially trying to take that power away. Don't let them. Thank you.